Hey, Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elected house of David. Let's get into this. This is gonna be about when around your elders, how you should when you're around, elders and wise men, how you should, rather absorb instead of expunging, you know, how you should just take in more, you know, instead of you trying to give them more, you know. Because that's crucial. That crucial is this old saying we people have in this world. Is a reason you have two ears and one mouth. You know, you should listen more and speak less. You know, because if you're speaking, you're trying to give your 2 cents, and you haven't been around as long as this elderly person or this wise person, you will end up seeming a fool. You know, you'll end up seeming a fool. You know, especially about a topic that you believed yourself to be well versed in. But when that person finally speaks, that elder, that wise man, and he speaks, and it's on another level than what you kept babbling about. You seem like first you gonna seem like a fool. You gonna seem vain. You gonna seem full of yourself when you didn't have the full understanding. You know. So we're gonna get into it. This is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27. Listen, and he that have knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. You see, someone who knows something, especially how to conduct yourself, you're gonna be you're gonna have understanding. You're gonna know when to say something. You're gonna know when to make a move. You're gonna know when this knowledge needs to be applied. You're not gonna try to give them the whole spectrum. You're gonna break it in bits and pieces. You're gonna break it down in bits and pieces. Like, okay, right now he doesn't need the whole loaf. Let me give him a piece here and a piece there. You're not overwhelming anybody with that broad view. You're trying to give them the whole thing. Nah. Verse 27, listen. Verse 28, excuse me. Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. Because you ain't trying to be the top. You ain't trying to be the one that's heard. That's one of the many problems we have today. Everybody just trying to be heard. So they want to so they're going to get some microwave knowledge to make them seem like they're wise when they have a little understanding on it for real. And speak on it. It's like these people. It's like just want to, that's like feminine energy, because when somebody want to be heard, they'll start talking over someone, screaming over someone just because they want to be heard, you know. Then once you hear them, you're like, they what they saying don't make too much sense, or they contradicted themselves, you know. You you just end up looking real bad, you know. Listen to this. These Ecclesiastes 5:2. Listen. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Yahweh Shem Yahushai. For Yahweh Shem Yahushai is in heaven and upon the earth. Therefore let thy words be few. You know? You can't be too quick at the mouth. You know? What scripture says, be slow to speak. I'm gonna get that. But especially when you trying to ask the Most High for something, make sure it's something it's something you gonna continue to ask for. It's not in the moment, and then it's not against scriptures. It's not against His will. Keep all those things in mind. I'm gonna go get that. I'm gonna get that scripture I had quoted. This is James 1, verse 19. Listen, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. You hear that? Be swift to hear, but slow to speak. And when you do speak again, like the scripture I read earlier, don't overtalk. Just don't overtalk. Every brother should learn how to give a short summary. Every brother should learn how to give a short summary. Because you don't want to, especially now, I'm talking about the brothers, talking, giving advice to the brethren, especially when you're on the highways and hedges, you want to be skillful with it. You want to be skillful. You want a skillful ad. Get your precepts. Give the proper breakdown. A short summary. Then let that brother get his precept, and he'll do the same. And that way, y'all working in unity. And that way, time gonna melt away. I know a lot of brothers experience like when they out there in highways and hedges and everybody adding, not too much, not too little, but at one, time just melts away. You be like, dang, time flew. Cause some more points you be wanna get, you bring out, but to hold back because you spoke your piece. Now you're gonna let the brother speak his, get his precept, break it down, and let him do his thing. But back to this one, James chapter 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Be about hearing a person out instead of giving your side of the story at first. Hear him out, hear her out, digest what was said. Don't be quick to speak. Think about it. Probably think about it, because anger can make you just spew out the mouth. Anger can make you say the first thing that come into your mind. Nah, be slow to that. Be slow to that. You know, have everything in your mind, then speak. You know, then speak. You know, because you might say something stupid. You might say something that can offend. You might say something that put your life in danger. Like, just look at these 2/3. Each time they get pulled up by police or police come and do something or some authority, the first thing they do is they open their mouth. What I do? I ain't gotta do that. Blah 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 blah. Scripture says, agree with your adversary quickly while you are in the way with them. You know. You know. Listen what they gotta say. Don't try to give your knowledge of the situation to the man who's, you know, in action, like he's finna go to he's just doing a routine whatever, you know. But you escalating the situation, you know. You escalating the situation. They be having the marriages, you know, relationships, you know, out there in the world, you know, environment, streets, workplace, whatever, you know. Don't be quick to do that. Listen to this, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 19. Listen. In the multitude of words there wanted not sin, but he that referred his lips is wise. Refraineth his lips is wise. Hear that? Let's read that again. In the multitude of words there wanted not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. You know, it said this mean like transgression is not lacking. You know, like transgression is gonna be there. Like you gonna slip up, you gonna offend something, you might say something, you might end up swearing. You know, not the swearing. You know, this world use saying stuff, say that swearing and it's not, but you know. You might be in a moment, you might really curse someone out and you ain't even mean it. Why? Because you let that anger, you let your mouth run off and it was ran by anger. You know? That's why Proverbs says this too though. Listen, this is Proverbs 13:3. Listen. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. But he that open wide his lips shall have destruction. What said life and death is in the power of the tongue. Roughly paraphrasing. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know, so being patient, being slow to wrath, being slow to speak, you know, playing the long game is better, you know. It's better. So when you're out there among the wise, when you're out there among your elders, hell, when you're out there in these crazy situations, be quick to hear and slow to speak. You know, hear both of the sides of the stories before you make the judgment call. You know. So with that, I hope you was edified. Again, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. The honors to the apostles and elders are at Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elected house of David. And until next time, Yahweh willing, Shalom.